Hello. Welcome,
Hello.
everybody. Today's episode of Automation Ladies is a demo with MOXA. And we got Russ, we got David, we got Oliver. And then we have, one of our fellow systems integrators, Brandon Peters in Canada. In Saskatchewan, right, Brandon?
Yep, say that 10 times fast.
Nope. Thank you very much for the offer, though.
Say it one time fast.
I'm really jealous now of David's hat. And I have like 15 of those, but I didn't bring one.
Too cool to wear a hat anyway. Relax.
Now I gotta wear a hat.
But yeah, let's get right into it. Oh yeah, Run PLC hat.
Run CNC.
Oh, Run CNC. There are Run PLC
PLC hats
shirts
too.
though. Yeah, you can get Run PLC shirts. I don't know about hats. I definitely want one. But yeah, let's get into this product demonstration. Russ, maybe talk about, introduce yourself a little bit, and then we can also get Oliver to do the same and David to do the same, and then we can get into your product.
Cool. Sounds good. Happy to be here, guys. Thanks for the opportunity. And I'm Russ with MOXA. I live in Kansas City. Been doing M2M IoT for about 25 years or so. 7 years with MOXA. Before that, working with a guy named Arlen Nipper. Got to give a shout out. He was inventing MQTT, the protocol, while I was working with him through 98 onward. So I do the IIoT field application engineering at MOXA, and happy to show you what we've got to offer. Over to Oliver.
All right. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad to meet the automation ladies and be on this demo and on LinkedIn Live. My name is Oliver Wang. I'm in the product marketing team for MOXA Americas. I've been with MOXA for 18 years and actually started in the technical writing department in Taiwan and knew a lot of those product managers that moved on to bigger and better things within MOXA and outside MOXA. In this role for doing product marketing for our edge compute line, I've been in this role for about 8 years, and that's when it really got fun because that's when I started to work with Russ. So very interested and very excited to be sharing what our team and the MOXA team has developed over those past 8 years, culminating in what we're going to be showing to you today.
Okay, so we got marketing and sales. Okay, David, what about you?
So I'm David Garcia. I'm the sales director at iComTech. I'm just super happy to be here. But I've been doing this IoT stuff for almost a decade and a half. So this is something I'm very passionate about. The reason we're here today, everybody, and that I'm excited to bring my friends is because I actually put together something really cool. I put together a solution for remote site monitoring and to be able to do set point control, to be able to integrate your information into your SCADA systems. And it's just going to make it easy for you to scale. And one of the problems that I found when we were building the solution, which is called the AIG IoT Bundle, is that we have a lot of issues with people not understanding exactly what's involved when it comes to doing an IoT project. So the people that I have here today from MOXA are going to be sharing their platform, their product, their technology. I also have a technology from our friends over at Solve Networks that we're going to be bundling together to solve the connectivity side. But I'm excited because really what I want to do is have a conversation today. Okay, so as we share this information, I want you to understand that IoT is really not just about the technology and solutions. It's also about your partners. That's why it's important to know who you can trust, who's going to be there for you, who understands exactly what's needed, and how you can lean on them and the kind of support that they can provide you. So with that, my friend, I would like to introduce Mr. Russ Tibbetts and Brandon. Did you get a chance to introduce yourself? I don't think you did.
That's okay. We'll just go with it.
Nah, brother, you should actually. Brandon's a big part of this as well.
Yeah,
and the reason why I'm excited he's
Brandon is with Shockwave Automation.
Yeah,
an integrator.
Shockwave Automation. We're a system integration firm based out of Western Canada. Been doing this for I guess over a decade now, and started Shockwave within the last few years here. So yeah, exciting times. Had some good growth, and yeah, lots of cool partnerships coming up, including this. So excited to kick this off.
All right, let's see if I can not mess this up. Yeah!
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Oliver, do you want to say a couple words as a background and intro for what we do?
Yes, yes, and I'm going to try to keep it short because I want this to be mostly about the demo. Now, the thing about IoT gateways and platforms, one of the things I've noticed myself, just from competitive research and from talking to customers, it's really tough to compare the options out there. Seems like everyone has a version or is building their own, and the capabilities all kind of overlap with each other. And then when you're trying to choose a solution for yourself, whether you're an integrator like Brandon or you're an OEM that's trying to build their own platform, you spend time getting the demo, getting excited about the capabilities, but then you have to go through several sessions to get a true quote and understand how much it actually costs, all put together, and then gauge that against other options that overlap in some ways and maybe not in others. And then in actual deployment, you quickly find out how challenging and how different things can be with real equipment out in the field, with wonky cellular coverage, a technician that's not comfortable with things like SSH or APNs or device patches that might be required. How easy is it to set up your device? How easy is it to update that device or customize it to your needs and equipment? And how easy is it to get direct support and guidance from the manufacturer? And is it going to cost you to even get someone on the phone? So very excited to be here with Russ, David, Brandon to show you another demo. But the difference is I'm going to tell you right away, what you're going to see from Russ, it costs $1,100. That piece of hardware in that demo that you can see kind of, to the side, well, it's kind of small. You'll see that's $1,100 is a piece of hardware. It's an edge compute device that includes a built-in LTE modem certified for Verizon and AT&T, plus an open IoT software stack that you see on the screen, and a free platform for remote access and management. That's $1,100 all in. There's no recurring fees. There's no licensing costs except for the SIM card. That piece is between you and your data provider. You're able to load your own apps and make use of any of our software capabilities via RESTful API. And we're continually updating the firmware to add functionality and features, again, without any fees. You don't have to sign up and subscribe and pay a fee to get those features. So that's all I'm going to say. It's a practical, cost-effective way to connect Modbus devices to your desired cloud platform via MQTT, or to host your own Linux application like Ignition Edge on a light LTE-equipped computer. And what I'm hoping from this session is to get your feedback, Ali, your feedback, Courtney, and Brandon, and how does this compare to some of the other things that you've seen, and other demos that you've also seen from other providers?
I already have some feedback. I'm extremely appreciative as an integrator myself that you just opened with the price like that and you just laid that out there like that. That's almost unheard of. Nobody does that, and I wish everyone would. So thank you so much for just being like, look at how good this is, like, and you're already got everybody interested because they're like, okay, I can work with that. And now we're actually going to show you the magic, but you already told us what it costs because everyone was going to ask you that anyway. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, Oliver. And thanks for the feedback, Ali. So I'll just mention one thing, and that's about the hardware. So it's an ARM-based processor, dual core ARM, 2 gig of RAM, and we've got a range. So we have higher powered ARM processors, lower powered ARM processors, some x86. I don't have slides about that, but you can see some of the examples over my shoulder. So if you need more processing power at the edge, we can go up. So what the software I'm showing, let me log out and I'll just show the interface. So this is a web-based engine. So it's a web-based URL that is running on the unit itself, and that's for configuring the unit. So you can go into, let me go back to this 302. I've got 2 different models, but the software that's running on here, as Oliver mentioned, I'll just recap, it's a value add. There's no license fees at all. We've got 4 different dashboards. Whoops, sorry. That one was lagged. 4 different dashboards. The system overview shows you what's running, some key information like IP addresses. We do this in order to make life easier so that you don't have to run command line, to figure out what's running. And I should say it's run a Debian Linux at the fundamental level. So you can run your own Python or C code in Linux as well. But so I'll go to the configuration settings first. Under network settings, cellular, that's one of the key value add pieces, is that you don't have to run AT commands to set up your modem. So we have dual SIMs in most of our units, and you can have like a Verizon or AT&T. You can create the profiles. You just give it an APN, it auto detects the rest of the information as far as what carrier to connect to. We can control that manually as well if you prefer, and then you can drag and drop them. So one thing I want to mention here is that one of our partners, not pictured here but mentioned earlier, is Solve Networks. We use their multi-carrier SIMs, and when we do that, the single SIM will connect to T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon. You can direct it, or you can just let it choose the default based on which signal's stronger. So more on that if you're interested. But when we do that, we can really get by with just using one SIM card, and you can fit applications across the nation of where is the strongest signal, which carrier to go with. We've got
I want to add something.
Sure,
Russ,
please.
real quick. So I just to highlight for everybody, I don't know if anybody's ever tried to set up a router or something for cellular connectivity. It's a pain in the butt. And then a lot of times the user interface is not friendly. It's complicated. This makes it super easy. You can literally drag which is the primary one that you want it to go to. So which is second and which is primary. What Russ just said, I want to make sure that we draw attention to. So the fact that we have a SIM card that's going to automatically fail over if there's a network outage on AT&T, it'll go to T-Mobile or whatever is the next one that's available without you having to do anything. Think about what that means for you from having to have access to data at a remote site and not being anywhere near it when it drops.
Right on.
Yeah,
Along with
you know,
that,
oh, go ahead, Russ. You go, Russ. You're probably going to say what I was going to say.
Right. Along with that, the failover piece, there's a keep alive that's built in. You can set the target host. That's the Google DNS you might recognize. But if you're on a private network, you just set the host to ping and an interval. And if it disconnects, it will automatically reconnect. And then it fails over as well, like going through the SIMs that you have configured. So it makes it very robust. So if you're deploying units in the field, they get kicked off the tower, you reconnect. I don't want to spend too much time. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, but if you have questions, let me know.
I do. The technical writer in me does want to jump in with one small clarification. So the boxes from Moxa do not come with a SIM. Solve Networks is one of our partners, right? One of the ones that we work with. The dual SIM capability on the AIG and that failover from one SIM to another, T-Mobile to AT&T or to Verizon, that's great if you're using two SIM. But one of the things we like about using Solve Networks, or why we recommend Solve Networks to some of our customers, is they have that capability built into their SIM. So you have one SIM that can connect to two carriers, and then you have control within a single SIM, that can connect to T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon. And so that almost eliminates the need for dual SIM, but on our hardware, you can support both. And part of this discussion is also to show how important it is to work with partners that know what they're doing and that you can get support from. So I'll stop there. Sorry, Russ.
No problem. So Stephen has answered the question asked by Hank. Do we have coverage in Canada? And yes, in fact, the Stephen at Solve answered the question, and Solve SIMs are based on Canadian carriers. So TELUS is the actual initial carrier, and then it roams. No additional fees on roaming. It's not like you pay additional fees, but that's the base carrier. So it does support Canada. I want to move along. So there was a lot of good interest there on the cellular. We've also got Modbus built in. So if you talk to field protocols, Modbus is a major, I'd say 90% or more that you run across in OT environments that Modbus would be used. So we support TCP over Ethernet, Modbus RTU over serial. I'll just show briefly where that's configured, because I think what I've heard and what I've experienced from some other configuration environments this is very easy to configure. So when you want to add a new device, you just put in the name, give it an IP address, port number, slave ID, and that's all. And then you go to add tags. So when you add tags, it's on one screen, excuse me, and we've got all the common, parameters, the address, the type of data. So once you get them configured, I've got a demo kit here. I don't know if you can see it on the small screen, but it's got the processor in there, the edge computer AIG. We've got some IO slices too. I'll show those a little bit closer, but those are Modbus based for IO slice, and they've got 2 switched ports on top, so you can daisy chain them. And that's what I'm talking to here. So when I turn this knob, it simulates like a tank level or some analog input, and then we can read and write as well. So this once we configure the tags, I jumped ahead. I'm going to show the tag dashboard where we can see the data. Once you get them configured, you can export it with a click of a button. It goes into a CSV file, so you can easily, modify, copy and paste, and scale up. When you have the tags configured the way you want, we've got this built-in tag dashboard, and that's the part that shows this live data. So when I turn there's a temperature sensor here that'll make this adjust, and then the where is it? Knob 1 is what I called it, but it can be any analog input. So then based on those thresholds, I've got some logic. There's a simple logic engine on the unit that can read in values and then act on it. So it's like an if then else type of if this then that type of implementation. One other latest piece of equipment I've added here is a smart switch. So I've just added these as an example. I'm reading the serial number and then a port description. So our switches allow Modbus data on the smart switches. So you can see the status of the ports, is traffic being sent. So there's a lot of info in here, but this is all on the edge. So we haven't sent any data up. You can make sure that the units are the right way. Your byte swapping is all done. So when you get the data the way you want it, then we have, here's that edge computing, just briefly. There's a logic engine in there that you just basically drag and drop in a visual way. And so the cloud connectivity, we have built-in connectivity to Azure, AWS, MQTT, and Sparkplug. This one's the 302 model is getting AWS and Sparkplug. I'll show those over here. This is the model 301. So they all use MQTT. And if people aren't familiar, just to explain, there's a security component with MQTT that's just built in natively, that the connection to the broker or server happens from the edge. So your connection is established from the edge. So I don't have any ports open in the field that are susceptible to being hacked. So it's not sitting there with, port anything XYZ open that you can connect in and just try to hack in. So that's a built-in kind of level of security natively. Just wanted to mention that. So that's a lot of area. Is there anything I missed, David or Oliver, or anybody have any questions about what I've shown so far?
I'll just add something real quick for context. So just to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, this out of the box comes with Modbus functionality built in. You can automatically start reading Modbus TCP. It has 2 serial ports, which are software selectable for RS-232, 422, 485. It also has EI inputs. It also has cellular. It also has Wi-Fi capabilities. So all of this stuff is already built in. So the other thing that I love that you brought up is there was templates that are already on there. So MOXA has additional functionality you can immediately import if you want to speak Profibus to Modbus. If you want to speak 420 milliamp, to Modbus, whatever it is, you're going to collect all of that information, and it's going to be standardized. Yep. You're going to be standardized on MQTT, which is a standardized protocol for communication for exactly. And that's the beauty of it. It's already going to be immediately able to be transferred to a broker, which is the location that all that data is going to be aggregated. And the reason why it's really cool is that now you can connect your dashboards, you can connect your HMI, you can connect your reporting, you can connect your historian, and it'll just pull exactly what it needs you never have to touch the devices at the edge. You're collecting all that data automatically out of the box for $1,000. Are you crazy? This is awesome.
Yeah. And I think from like an integration standpoint, and I think there's a good example that I can kind of put together here. You look at like a pipeline riser site that's in the middle of the field. Typically, your engineering costs for building a control panel, you're buying a PLC, you're buying all these expensive IO modules. I'm not saying that you have to do everything for cheap, but the costs kind of just compound with, I guess, a peripheral devices that you have at each of these sites, and you can essentially replace all of those with just this one item. And it's as easy as, you know, you want to pull for a pipeline riser, you want to pull Modbus data from a flow meter. Well, you can add the Modbus master connection to that Modbus client. You pretty much configure the data in like minutes, and then you're taking that data, and then you can go to an MQTT client. And if you don't, like, just for simplicity purposes, even if you don't have a broker and you wanted to try this out as an end user, you can publish data to a public broker and see that payload automatically show up within a MQTT broker, right? And I guess Russ has it open right now, but just from a system integrator standpoint, you can compound, let's say, $30,000 in costs to $3,000 in costs when you have an AIG and a control panel monitoring a pipeline riser that once was this massive deployment structure and very labor intensive on IT, on the SCADA folks, system integrator folks, field installations, right? So you kind of compound everything into one solution where you only have one device to manage. And I'm sure that Russ will kind of get into the mass management of these as well, but that's just my take on it.
You want to think, because I'm about to explode, no joke. Again, gang, this is all built in, but it's also a computer, and it logs and timestamps your data. So when I say, even if your network goes out, that data is still being captured, gang. It's still being timestamped. So when that network comes back up, guess what? You didn't lose anything. Okay? That's important. And because it's already built in the way that it is, and it actually makes sense, and people like Brandon, who are smarty pants and know how to integrate this stuff real easy, because they have all the tools already built in, you're plug and play to infrastructure the way it's supposed to be. You're templatized. Okay? That's a big deal. Sorry, guy. How's your work?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The store and forward is a major point. Thanks for covering that. So yeah, when cellular goes away, we store the data locally, and then it publishes it historically with timestamp. So that's a big one. There's just a lot there. Even as Brandon was talking, I thought of and forgot another value add point to mention. But any other questions?
I'm trying not to sound like the marketer here, and I will mention that that if there's any system integrator or end user or even cloud-based service provider that's working with OT devices or OT clients, if you're working with Modbus and LTE, I honestly think you're just going to have a way easier time with the AIG versus any other do-it-yourself or pay for software to do that. We've done this for 8 years, and we've refined it and made it super easy. Now, if you're not using Modbus, or if you're using Modbus plus other things, it's still very useful for other reasons. But especially if you're using Modbus, just the tag dashboard alone, right? Seeing those live tags as soon as you make that configuration change saves. Russ can tell you stories about when we didn't have that and the days he had to spend doing configuration and seeing if it pulled that value all the way to the cloud and to the dashboard in Ignition. I mean, it took days before you realized there was a single configuration error there. And now you can see it right on the edge device. So just want to make sure people understand how practically useful these features are that we've developed.
Yeah, and as like a troubleshooting too, it's pretty invaluable, really. Even when you're on site and you're commissioning stuff, you're there's a whole, I guess, kind of network of things that you're that you're integrated with when you're on site, whether it's you're configuring switches, you're configuring PLCs. Last thing that you want to spend hours on is ensuring that your Modbus RTU message went through okay, or your TCP connections are up. And as opposed to like running out to each control panel, hooking up to the device with the 232 to 485 adapter, trying to make sure all your Modbus data is coming through, and when you can just open it up on a dashboard after you've kind of figured it set up once.
You know what? One thing that Russ brought up that I think is also worth noting, one of the cool things about Moxa is that they also have their devices, whether it's networking, wireless, Wi-Fi, whatever, they are able to be read in industrial protocols. So Modbus, Ethernet IP, Profinet, right? So let's just think about this. Let's say you have your remote site and you have your wireless your wireless sensors are connected to a Wi-Fi access point, and that thing's PoE powered. And that thing happens to be connected to a panel that has a PoE switch. If you have a Moxa switch that's PoE powered, that means that you can read the status of those PoE devices. You can send commands for it to reboot that one port. You can get alerts if something happens to them. Like, you have full diagnostic capabilities of every single networking, they even have the ability to get serial or any other information that you need about the devices that are on the field directly through the Modbus protocol or any industrial protocol natively. So that means you can integrate that into your SCADA systems, into your monitoring, into whatever you have. And that also goes for the wireless and cellular connectivity, the signal strength, what carrier it's on. Like, there's a lot of this information that now is available to you. So diagnostics and troubleshooting are the major thing for me, because that's where everything gets impacted. You're impacting people's ability to do their job. You're always constantly putting fires out. You're having, how much manpower do you have? How many resources do you have? Right? Like, this is why you have to think about how this alleviates, makes it a lot more easy for you to be able to be proactive, and you actually have visibility and information to provide your customers right at their fingertips or displayed immediately.
A lot of good stuff. Thank you both. So many more topics I thought of there as you were describing things. One is, let's start here. We can publish to the broker system and network events. So built into the software, you can say, when a LAN or cellular signal strength, when the network comes up or down, signal strength, amount of storage, RAM, all of those data points, you just check a box and you can publish them to those brokers that I mentioned. There's also this protocol analysis DIAG tool. So if you're troubleshooting, like Brandon mentioned, the Modbus, either TCP or RTU, you can see the number of valid responses, any timeouts, and then you can actually monitor the traffic. So it'll show the actual poll and response. The thing I thought of earlier and forgot is I'm confident, and I say this often to new engagements with customers. If you have a Modbus device, we can talk to that device in the field, and these are widely used in oil and gas, water, wastewater. There's a lot of remote assets that talk Modbus. We can talk to those devices and send the data to a broker, so you can get it on a server on the host side in 15 minutes. So when you open up the box, get it programmed, it'll take you 15 minutes to get everything done. And that typically, Brandon can testify that depending on what you're using, that can take days. So it's really efficient. One other piece I wanted to show here, in case we don't get to mention it later, under one of these connections is Microsoft Azure IoT. We have IoT Edge. They have Microsoft Azure IoT Hub is running in the cloud. You can deploy whatever modules you want from that Azure IoT Hub infrastructure. One example that we use is Ignition. So we can do Ignition Edge installs using their module in their hub that they're hosting, and we get the latest version with one click. So you get it set up in your IoT Hub, you click a button, and then you can deploy it to one or many devices. So now this is the Ignition Edge running on this actual device. That's the one there with the same IP address. So I just wanted to mention, in case that strikes a bell with somebody.
Well, like
15 minutes.
Yeah,
it's real. It's real.
Yeah, and like,
let's talk about DLM, Brandon, please.
Yeah, you kind of drove it home there. With the IoT Hub, I mean, it's obviously not something that everybody uses, but if you were to adapt that for your fleet of, I guess, remote telemetry sites, it's super invaluable. I don't really know how else to describe. It's priceless. Like between that and DLM, you have a way to mass deploy a gold standard deployment. I mean, not everything on each ignition edge asset for tag monitoring, whether you're running perspective or ignition panel on one of those sites, but just from a pure deployment standpoint and connectivity standpoint, you have the ability to mass deploy that and manage it along with using the DLM services as well. So I'll kind of let Russ dive into that.
I want to share that. So we've mentioned DLM a couple times, and the audience doesn't know what that means. So it stands for Device Lifecycle Management. It's MOXA's hosted remote device management platform. So there's a tab under maintenance on this latest version, AIG 302. You go under MOXA DLM service. The first time you click on that gear icon, it'll have two fields, email address and password. And that's for your DLM account. After that, we just see a reconnection interval, and we're using X509 certificates from that point on. So you don't ever see those credentials again. So now every time this unit's powered on and has an internet connection, and this is enabled, you can disable that if you don't want it, that will connect to DLM. And I'll show that next. So this is the DLM service. I'm going to log out to show that's just a public URL. And then we can create an account for you super easy. Just give it your email address and it will send you a link to create your password. Once you get that, let me jump over to our demo account here. So this is what the look and feel is. I won't, for the sake of time, I won't be able to go through all the features, but you get a map. It shows where your devices are. You can click on them, see what units are there, which ones are online. You can change these widgets. You can edit it, so you can change the widgets around. I've got it the way I the points I want to see. And then you can, there's many things, where to go next. One of these I can click on and filter by what's online. So now this will show me the units in my lab that are online. You've got on the left, I can see all devices, the ones online or offline. You can see these labels on the side to categorize them. You can group them however you want. So by geography, by role, whatever they are. So these are the ones that Oliver and I share, got a green label, and then I can just go to any of these. So now, two things I'd highlight. One would be drilling down on these remotely. So the big thing is these could be anywhere in the world as long as they have internet access. And I can then get to a command line. So to show how that does, how that happens, I'll click on this URL or the link to that that unit. And then we see some initial profile information, firmware version, which could be important, serial number, and then versions of things that are running. There's a snapshot. David earlier today mentioned, or Brandon, one of the two, had mentioned that the value of this. So I just want to mention that we can take a snapshot of the unit as it's configured. If it changes by some technician in the field or whoever, connects and changes something, and then it starts misbehaving somehow, you can then compare it to an earlier snapshot that you've taken. I guess I'm on a different, I had one saved, but and then you can restore it if it doesn't match. So that's pretty valuable. For me, in my role when I'm supporting customers, this is really priceless, the remote connectivity. So if I just click on either the web console or SSH, I'll just go to a command prompt. You put in your credentials first for DLM. It's going to establish a VPN connection to it remotely or instantly. So this is also happening outbound from the unit. So I'm not reaching out to ports, but then it brings up this second level. Now this is the OS system login. So you can have multiple users and passwords there for additional security. And once I get logged in, then I'll be at the command line and I can run applications just as I would on any Linux box. It's taking a little bit. It should pop up there, but
the nice thing about that too is you can run remote ignition gateway commands and everything from there. Too. Pretty handy.
Yeah,
so
and that brings up another. So ignition runs in Docker, so we do have Docker running too, in case that's interesting to anyone else. But I'll just show a command there to see what's running. So powerful to get to the command line of these units remotely. I use it to support a lot of customers with POC, just out of the box. They're trying to learn the equipment, and this way I can be like right in front of them wherever they're at. The next piece would be large groups. So if you want to do two things, either software updates or configuration changes in mass. So you can have 300, however many units you've got. I'll pick one that's the 302. So you can click on one of these upgrade packs. These are provided by MOXA. I won't go into all the details, but we've got a different version that's hosted on premise that's coming out in July, and you can have your own as users. You can write your own applications and then download those with scripts and files. So this will show the release notes, and then I just click update, and it'll show all the ones that qualify. So these are just the 302 model. And if I just say, I want to update all of them and say next, I put in my password and then schedule a time. If I see install now, it's going to do it. And I don't want to run all those updates to all those units. But the next thing, that's for the software update piece. The next thing you can do in groups is configuration. So you can create a configuration. You can download the JSON file. Let's see, download config file. I can show that.
Also, I want to mention one thing real quick too. When you're doing those live updates, like most control system hardware, how they usually drop their brains and lose all their configuration, the MOXA will come back online. The AIG comes back online in real time. Like you can watch it. It takes, I don't know, over the air, with the over the air option, maybe like 15, 20 minutes, right? To do that live update, but it comes back completely by itself without any interjection from an integration standpoint. So instead of you driving to 300 different sites that reside on your primary SCADA system, where you typically have to go do a firmware update and reconfigure that end device, now you're pretty much hands-free at this point in time. So it's it's fantastic. So
excellent point. Thank you. And just to echo that, on the OTA updates, not only if it's successful, it comes back online, but if it fails, the over-the-air updates are secure. So it's going to validate that the download is legit and performs a checksum and other features to make sure that it's okay before switching over. So, man, there was a lot there. I kind of rushed through it, but
real quick, Russ. So you're telling me that this centralized fleet management component that sits on top of the already Things Pro with Modbus functionality built in and everything else, there's extra charge for this, I'm sure, right? They have to pay extra to be able to manage everything at scale. I'm sure there's an extra cost. It's not just $1,000, right?
That's the thing, right? So we make hardware. We sell hardware. We don't charge for software. So you get, currently the contract is you get 3 years free for a device DLM. And that's just, we want to provide that level of support for 3 years. But in that time, it's going to evolve. The on-premise version is probably where we're getting feedback that a lot of people, when they're in production, they don't want their access, hosted by someone else. So anyway, it's 3 years for free, right?
Sure, I'm sure it's limited to like 100 units only, right? You can monitor at one time. Right?
No,
there's a max. There's a max. There has to be a max to how many units you can manage. Please.
Honestly, yeah. We want to sell hardware. So test us. Yeah.
The crazy.
How many units can this handle managing?
How many minutes?
No, how many units?
Yeah. There's no limit. I confirmed it with the demo.
What? So I can have unlimited units that I can send an update and just group them together. Like all that stuff is something for free.
Challenge us. We want you to.
Yeah, that's right.
We want you to put units on here.
Well, the crazy thing about this is like you get into so many of these projects that you start bidding and you're up against everybody to the bottom of the barrel sometimes on integration projects. And the upfront capital investment that this saves you when you're deploying a new IoT/SCADA system is absolutely insane. Because perfect example, if you were to go throw a Rockwell PLC on every single site and a modem on every single site, you need about $100,000 worth of licensing just to get you off the ground, right? No shots fired to Rockwell here, but anyways, it's a perfect example of how to do things right.
Yeah. I see Nikki's comment about selling hardware, and I will also tell you just in pure honesty, part of the reason is we just don't have the infrastructure or the processes to do software, sales and licensing and tracking and serial numbers and time stamped, time stamped access through distribution. It's just so it's more difficult for us to charge for software than it is to just give it away and just try to make the best hardware possible. So that's not an official corporate line. If there's anyone from corporate watching, I did not get that from the website. That's just my own observation from 18 years at MOXA. So it is what it is. Right?
It sounds like you guys hate making money to me. That's all I'm saying, dude.
We sell great hardware. We sell a lot of.
I feel like there's better ways to make money than just selling software.
Yeah,
I feel like.
And then if you think about the reverse, it's like how much money did get put into an infrastructure to track software license and versions and track that and bill that, and then send reminders when you're overdue or things like that. And how much does that inflate the cost of your deployment? So
and how many times have software licensing contradicted the build of your control system from an architectural standpoint, whether it was a corner cut because, oh, hey, we got this burden of software costs as an overhead, right? So the amount of times that's hindered the direction of projects just because you have such a large software cost is, it's amazing the projects that you can kind of bid on and successfully win those jobs with a platform like this. And I'm sure that in weeks to come, David and I will see that together too. So
yeah, and I've given this a lot of thought because, as I said, like when I compare us to others and try to come up with a message that people understand in terms of what makes us different. I mean, that is one of the pieces. But if your business model is based on, how much money you're able to extract from software licensing fees, and that turns out not to be scalable. And we've worked with customers like that. They're using our hardware and they're charging their customers, a regular fee, and that the financial model for that is very precarious. It really depends on adoption and scale. And if you aren't able to hit that quickly, then your software goes out of date. And we've been in many engagements where customer was left high and dry by an IoT provider that went out of life or decided to discontinue their software capability, and they needed something off the shelf that they could deploy quickly. And that's where we're really good, right? That's just what we do, right? From a hardware standpoint. So that's one of my observations, but I don't know how to make that into like a marketing campaign. So if there's any ideas, on how to make that a little bit more like punchy, I'm all for it.
I want to add something real quick, if you guys don't mind. So this is why this was an important conversation for me to bring to the table, because this is part of OT SCADACON. OT SCADACON is literally this, what we're having right now, a discussion. We have real people that do real things in real life, okay? They actually know stuff. So we're all friends, we're all partners, and one of the things that's important about being able to get things done properly is not to feel like you're in a place where you're going to get judged or that it's going to get overcomplicated or you're going to be afraid to show your ignorance. Because to be quite honest, man, we're all too busy to know everything, and that's why partnerships are important. And that's why the fact that we have everybody that's rounded up here and everyone that's sharing their knowledge is critical for us to move forward. The tribal knowledge that we all have, it's important to share it. And I think that the fact that we have partners like MOXA who really do genuinely care about their customers, Brandon can attest to this, they genuinely do. This is why I do business with them. This is why I care so much about this company. They actually were the people why I'm even here. If it wasn't for MOXA, I wouldn't be here because they actually gave me a shot at being in the industrial space. So I'm always going to be grateful for that. But I'm also really grateful to people like, Solve Networks and, Brandon that are sharing their expertise, sharing their knowledge, and just making everybody aware that, you don't have to be an expert in everything. We've all been doing things specifically to get good at one specific thing, and that's actually okay. I don't want to have, an expertise. I want to be able to count on people that are going to be able to be there for me, that are going to be able to support me, that I can grow with, that are going to be there to make sure that I don't custom code every single solution every single time. Like, that's crazy, guys. That's the big issue. Our community is amazing. And the fact that we have so many people that are willing to come on here and share their knowledge and bring solutions like this makes me excited. And that's why putting this bundle together for under $1,000, actually just $1,000. I'm going to go to $100. Okay, $1,000. You're going to get this, and I'm throwing in the SIM card, and you're going to get the support, and you have everybody that's going to be attending OT SCADACon. Russ is going to be there. Oliver is going to be there. Brandon's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Nikki, Ali, Courtney, we're all going to be there. And so are my boys from Soft Networks. So this is actually going to be a raffle prize I'm giving away as well. You're going to get an AIG 302 with a Solve SIM card, and you're going to get a consultation for free from Brandon.
Whoop, whoop.
What's up? Well, what excuses you got now? You want to keep doing things the old way and not scale? Go for it, man. I'll be here when you're ready to change.
Hey, I'll be the first, like, full disclosure. I, play with robots and controls, and I tell something to do this and it does this, right? So, like, I've been over my head for a lot of this demo. But you guys have never done something that's so intimidating. I can't sit through it and just smile big. But I had a thought about, like, just tying it to robots. Like, what if I had a fleet of UR robots and they all speak Modbus? Like, can I monitor my fleet of like stuff that I care about on my robots?
Absolutely.
Not everything it does is over Modbus, but almost everything is available on Modbus registers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dave mentioned,
I found a connection to something I do.
and Dave mentioned there too, like Moxa's got a whole line of products that do protocol conversion that can seamlessly tie into this too, right? So I'm sure that there's a solution there for that.
I would love to work more with robots, but just from what you described, Courtney, if it speaks Modbus, then boom, and you wanted to, as a provider, as a third-party provider to an end user, or as an integrator, or as the end user yourself, if you wanted to add monitoring functions that are not already tied to the robot itself, right? If you wanted to pull it into ignition, then one easy button is to get an AIG, and you can get a version without LTE because probably you're going to be on premise, and then use the Modbus to Sparkplug connector, and you'll have it directly into your favorite platform, whether it's Ignition or some other platform. And then you have access to the raw data that you want, and you have full control over it, and you have ownership of it as well.
I'm almost imagining, just as a robot systems integrator, if there really is no limit to how many things I can monitor, why I wouldn't just monitor all of my installs so I can see if something happens, before the customer calls me.
Yep.
I see the phone number calling, and I'm like, uh-oh, what'd you crash into?
Right
on.
Build in the $1,100.
Yeah. Now,
that's a one-time cost for me as the integrator, right? And the robot I send out to a customer, I would just set it up.
That's MSRP. That's I can hook you up, Courtney. You know people. People who knows people, baby.
And there's different webhooks you could tie into this too. So you could tie it into a servicing ticketing system where you've got where it does dispatching automatically for you guys and notifies it and logs it in your system too. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can play around with.
Now, the technical writer and the guy who's been burned in certain kinds of customer engagements also wants me to be careful about what we promise, because I'm thinking, how many tags are we talking about? What is the frequency response you want on those tags? And this is why a conversation and a consultation is so important. So you can't just go by the marketing material and it supports Modbus and it supports Ignition. Great. You need to have a conversation about what are the performance characteristics, what are your architecture, how many devices you need, how many tags you need, are there any that are particularly important and time sensitive, that I don't want to promise out the gate that this is the universal device that will do everything, but we have that experience and we have the partnerships and the relationships to help have that conversation. And if it is a good fit, then we're all in. And if it's not a good fit, we'll at least be upfront about it. We're like, hey, well, this is what we can do, and this is what you probably would need to use Ignition for, or maybe something else for. And so that's a conversation I love having.
Courtney, Brandon, so he can totally walk you through this stuff, no problem.
That's what I like about this community is I'm not even going to claim to be the best at really anything anymore, but I'm probably connected to the person who is the best at it.
Yeah, because I'm sure every one of us has been humbled at least once by trying to know everything. So
Yes, that is true. And actually, you know what? I'm glad that we're bringing this up because that's another thing that I think is important. So, like, I guarantee you, there's people right now that are watching or that will be watching that don't even really know what MQTT is. They don't even know what Sparkplug B is, and that's where like stuff gets like their eyes gloss over. Just really quick, I just figured out how to like kind of explain this, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I would look at it. MQTT is just a lightweight protocol that's used for telemetry data to send it. It's super lightweight. You use it for messaging like Facebook Messenger, like it's reliable. And the other thing is the Sparkplug B component. The reason why it's important to look for that if you can is because it allows you to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as like, let's say if you're texting someone and emojis, right? So like you're texting somebody and they know exactly what emojis mean or whatever the text is going to be. So the communication doesn't need to be customized. You don't have to do anything specific. It already knows exactly what you're saying when you send a smiley face or a heart because you guys understand exactly what those emojis mean. So like it standardizes your communication. That's what Sparkplug B is. And MQTT standardizes the way that you're able to send the data to the different architectures you have out there that are cloud-based that are for IIoT. Is anything about what I said wrong or anything you guys would tweak, guys? Because I think that's one of the big issues I find.
Just
You're
that.
good with words, David.
Go ahead.
I just said you're good with words, David.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. There's no emojis in Sparkplug B. That's an analogy.
Not yet. Not yet.
That's an analogy. You can send emojis as a data payload.
So I was really excited to have this opportunity. I want to thank David for setting this up, and I want to thank Ali and Courtney for giving us the opportunity to share this. Yeah, and Brandon for your guidance too, and some of the feedback that you've already provided. I'm curious, and you've done these demos with other providers, and I'm not asking for a direct competitive comparison, but what's your impression, like, or what questions might you have from seeing this and some of the technology that Russ has shared?
Yeah, I guess from a competitor standpoint, I want to just give you guys kudos too for another, I guess, round of applause is just how open you guys are with assisting system integrators with this, as well as providing the technical assistance. It's not very often that you get one-on-one consultations. Like, I feel like you guys are the first two guys from a vendor at any given point in time that's actually reached out to me, set up a one-on-one Teams meeting, and gone through the product with us one-on-one. Because typically, if we're doing that, we're paying for training, we're traveling somewhere for training. I haven't actually had that technical one-on-one, I guess, kind of training with a vendor before. So I guess that's one major thing. And I guess just from a you guys are also willing to work on the product and with the suggestions that we give you guys, right? And necessarily not every product developer will do that. They'll just say, okay, well, hey, it might come out, this major bug that's pretty much cratered your facilities kind of came out or it's come up in the last month, and there's going to be no fix for it for 6 months. But even with the solve network stuff that you guys were working through, it's like you're like, hey, I got on the line with my technical group, this is a conversation that we're having right now, we're working on it, we'll get back to you, right? And it's not just like wait on hold for 8 months. So I feel like the face value of that alone is superior to most others. And I hope that kind of answered your question there, Oliver.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Brandon. And that's the kind of thing that I know from my 18 years at MOXA. This is kind of baked into the MOXA culture, just from what Russ has shared with me from his previous experience in other companies, just from top to bottom, all the way to RD. Just the level of support and willingness to work to solve a customer problem is, and I'm spoiled because I haven't seen what it's like in other companies. So when I hear stories like that, I'm like, really? It's that hard to get someone on the phone? I've been blessed by working at MOXA, but it's hard to promote. It's hard for me to say that with a straight face and have people believe me. So I appreciate you saying that and letting people know that it's a reality.
Do you mind if I share something? Actually, I have a special announcement. I was gonna wait, but anybody who's interested in getting an AIG IIoT Rescue Bundle, which means that you're going to get the AIG 302 and the sub-network SIM card and the consultation with Brandon for $1,000. Okay. Anyone who's interested today, I have set aside 10 units. You will be put on the beta testing because Moxa is going to be launching Spark Plug B capability for the AIG 302 later this year. So if you get one of those, I'm going to put you on a list for early beta testing of the AIG 302 Spark Plug B. So just know that. Reach out to me. You guys know where to find me. But Oliver, I just wanted to share. Thank you very much. Brandon's right. The fact that you guys are taking in feedback almost like instantaneously and working directly with everybody at Moxa, who, by the way, are amazing people, the sweetest people in Taiwan. I love you guys. They really do care. So just FYI for anybody watching, I want to make it easy for you, and I want to bring you on board, and I want to make sure that you have a great time and that you have support. So just know that that's available for you as well.
Moxa is awesome.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I agree.
Looking forward to OT SCADACon. I actually won't be there, but Russ will be there. It'll be his first, and I'm excited for people to meet him in person, and and him to have more conversations
Michael,
like this.
Creighton, brother, thank you for answering the questions, for sniping, all the people that are out there that want to get to know. Michael is amazing. You guys should definitely get to know him, and my brother Carrie Gunther as well. They are just repping this company so well. They are always Johnny on the spot. They've been responsive as all hell, and they're supporting this bundle for the OT SCADACon convention specifically because they believe in this community-led event, just like Moxa does as well. So please help me support them, and I don't know, help me make my quota too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, again, you got to be transparent. So
there's definitely a transparency here. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're almost out of time, but I think we wanted to get, who some of those providers are. And Michael can answer that probably in the comments, unless it comes up quickly.
Like the carriers, maybe? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah.
TELUS and Rogers, I believe. Both.
Oh yeah.
We usually end these episodes with kind of the same spiel, but if people want to find you and harass you, how do they do it best?
They got to go to Russ and David.
No, I mean, what if they want to harass you guys individually?
Yes. Well, Russ is not on social media. I had to twist his arm to actually open his LinkedIn account, so you can go through me. Or contact David, and David is also I think you're the host of OT SCADACon.
Yes, he is.
And we have their email address, Oliver. I can say yours, Russ, right? Russ.Tibbetts,
sure.
2 B's and 2 T's at moxa.com, Oliver.Wang at moxa.com. We try not to be hard to reach. So yeah, we like having conversations. We like working directly with customers and integrators.
Thank you very much, everybody. This was a great episode, and thank you so much for being so transparent. I love the Moxa culture, for sure.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely.
Amazing, guys.
All right. This was fun. Right. Let's do it again.
Definitely. Perfect. See you all at OT SCADACon.
All right.
Well, or see some of you for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Join us.
Thanks, everyone.
2 weeks. Let's roll.
We want to send our love and our prayers to the people in Texas. I know that you guys are struggling right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. Please know that you are in our thoughts, and we love you and we care about you. And please know, it's terrible. So we want you to know that we are aware, and we are going to be in Houston. So we do want you guys to know that our heart goes out to Texas. And that's it, man. I'm sorry. It's awful. We love you.
Thank you, David.
That's right.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you all.
Peace.
Bye.